And we are live. Welcome, mystery and thriller fans. I'm your on-air host, Sara DiVello, and I am so excited to welcome today, live from the UK, Gilly Macmillan, the incredible, internationally best-selling author of 7 books, here to give us the inside scoop on her brand new Red Hot, The Long Weekend. Gilly, welcome to Mystery and Thriller Mavens. Tell us about this book.
Thank you very much for having me. Well, this is my 7th thriller, and it was my pandemic novel. So it was one that's very close to my heart because, as we all know, our world's erupted, and I, like everybody else, thought, can I do anything the same ever again? So to get through this book was a big deal. It was inspired by a film called A Letter to Three Wives. And the film came out in 1949. And the book really takes the premise where 3 women find themselves away and they can't contact home and they can't get home. And they find a letter which effectively says, by the time you read this, I will have killed one of your husbands. And the plot kicks off there. And that was inspired by the movie, which is actually a romantic drama, but I sort of thrillerized it, if that's a word.
I love that. So, Gilly, when did you see the film, and was it percolating in your brain for many years, or was this a pandemic Netflix binge, or walk us through
It was totally a pandemic Netflix binge. I was watching All About Eve, and I saw this, and I'd been talking with my agent about it because we've been talking about plots and throwing around ideas for the new book. And we both watched A Letter to Three Wives, which was written and directed by Joseph Mankiewicz, who did All About Eve. And we just both went, that's a brilliant thriller plot. You can make, it's just a no-brainer. And so I just kicked off straight away.
I love that because I actually love old movies. I'm a huge old movie fan. I've seen All About Eve. I love Bette Davis. I love all these old actors and actresses. And so I had no idea that this very modern, very thriller book was inspired by this old classic movie. This is fantastic. Gilly, I have
a great movie.
Ooh, I can't wait to watch it now. I'm going to add that to I'm going to queue it up on Netflix. Well, I can't wait to hear more about it. But first, I just want to welcome everyone who is watching with us. We are streaming live to 6 different destinations. So no matter where you're watching from, you're in the right place. This is the right time. If you've been here before, you know how it works. And if you're new, welcome. We're so happy to have you. Here's how it works. Every Monday for #Mystery Monday, because Mondays can be murder, I give you my handpicked featured authors, and you get to ask them anything. So get the questions going in the comments, and you can ask the incredible internationally best-selling author Gilly Macmillan anything you want about The Long Weekend, about these amazing reviews. So much to talk about. We have someone saying hello. I think that is Leslie's giving us her signature Canadian hello. Welcome. She said just bought it last night. She's so excited. Oh my gosh, you are going to love it. Darla is saying good afternoon. Darla, welcome to the conversation. So great to have you. Donna is saying, I've never been able to watch live, but I am here today. Hooray. Donna, we're thrilled to have you. Let us know if you have any questions for Gilly, because this is your time to talk to this incredible author. So Gilly, let's kick off with this incredible review from Sarah Pierce, the New York Times bestselling author of The Sanatorium. She raves, it is twisty, dark, and packs a punch, gripping, and genuinely nail-biting. So congratulations on that. A fabulous praise from Sarah. How do you think, now that you're on your 7 books in, how do you create a book that is twisty, dark, and packs a punch? How do you keep it genuinely nail-biting?
I think I try to be a reader first. I'm a writer, but before I was a writer, I was a reader. I was obsessed with reading and I loved all genres. And I think I try and hang on to that. And I think if I were reading this, if I'd picked this up in a store or been given it, what would keep me turning the pages? What do I want to see? How do I want to be surprised? So I really go back to, or try to go back to that reading experience and think about what I'm expecting when I turn those first pages. You know, I want to be hooked in. I want every chapter to leave me wanting more. I want those little shocks that, you know, kind of make you go, you know, and I think that's mostly what I try to do. And then you get all that down in a first draft and you refine it. You see what's working in subsequent drafts. That's when you really do the kind of finer work to get everything, you know, twists and that sort of thing set up.
How many drafts does it usually take you now that you're 7 books in, Jilly?
Exactly the same as the first time, which is a lot.
Wow. So how long does it take you? Are we talking 5? Are we talking 50? How many we got?
No. It's probably 3 or 4, but they are huge. Yeah, they can be very big edits. Between draft 1 and draft 2, I will often rewrite vast sections of the book because sometimes I don't know what I'm writing till I've finished a first draft. And then I can look at it and go, oh, that's the book. That's what it needs to do. But that first draft can be very messy and unfocused.
And when you are, so I'm guessing that you don't plot, you just follow the story. No? Do you plot? Walk us through that. So even plotting, there's so much change between the first and second drafts.
Yeah, but I don't plot very much. I tend to know the kind of, I know my characters. I know probably who I want to be okay at the end and who probably isn't going to be okay. And I might know a couple of other bits and pieces, but I don't know a great deal more than that because I think that I would worry that I wouldn't put as much energy into writing it if I was just filling in sections, if you see what I mean. You know, if I'd pre-plotted it.
Ah, yes. Okay, so that would take some of the originality, the zest away.
Yeah, I think for me, I think it works brilliantly for a lot of writers, but for me, I get my best ideas when I'm in it, when I'm writing a section.
Ooh, okay, perfect. Well, I love your approach. Christian saying hello there. Christian, welcome to the conversation. Anissa Joy, welcome to the conversation. Always a pleasure to have you, ma'am. She says she would like to know, Jilly, do you find it hard to leave your characters when you have finished the book? Great question.
Great question. And the answer is it really depends which character. There are characters that I cannot wait to run a mile from because they're not very nice. And others where I think, oh, I've really enjoyed writing you. And you speculate, should I bring them back in another book? But it's hard to leave the book as a whole. It's very hard to get it out of your head and sort of wipe your brain clear to start another book. So I do feel very attached to it for quite a long time.
And which characters were hard for you to say goodbye to on this one, and which was a quick adios?
I think, well, I can't give too much away. It was hard to say goodbye to Imogen, who is the teenage character in this. I had a lot of sympathy for her at times in the book.
Interesting. Okay. I thought you were going to give a different answer. So I will be thinking about Imogen differently now. Very good to get this insight. Anissa says she is sneaking in while she's at work just for a few minutes. She's so excited for these books. Thanks for sneaking in on your break, Anissa. We're so happy to have you. Michelle, welcome to the conversation. She said, hi, Jilly. I love your work. And she would like to know, 7 books in, what was your favorite book to write? Great question.
Great question. Thank you. That's a hard one because I like them all for different reasons. But I think one of my favorites was The Perfect Girl, my second novel, because it just came quickly and I loved the characters and it just flew onto the page. So that was a lot of fun to write. And I was also thinking, oh, I can write another book because you don't know when you've written one if you can write another. You really don't. And it's all such a new world. The publishing world feels very new at that point. So yeah, that one's got a place in my heart for that reason.
Why do you think that one came fast and easily to you? What made that one different?
I think I was really into the character. I had a very clear idea of who she was and what kind of person. The main character is called Zoe. She's a teenage piano prodigy, but she's had this terrible event happened to her in the past, and she spent some time in jail. So we meet her when she's only, I think, 17 or 18, but she's already done some jail time, and it's affected her life. And I think I found that I'd heard about a similar story, a court case, a real life court case about a similar thing that had happened. And I couldn't let go of it. And I think it was quite a strong urge to tell that character's story. So maybe that was why it came easily.
Was that the inspiration for that book, Jilly? Was it reading about that court case and then having to delve into her story more?
Yeah, it was a friend of mine had represented a teenager in a similar situation. And so I heard the story via them. And of course, they knew, a lot about the feelings of the people involved and the impact on the families. And that struck me as extraordinarily powerful. That's something you do when you're in your teens, when, speaking for myself, I was super silly. I made a lot of bad decisions, but I didn't do anything that could affect the rest of my life. But this girl did. And that struck me as a strong position to start a story from.
It's an interesting concept to think about, being a young and tender age and making a decision that can impact you for the rest of your life, or being involved in a situation and then being stuck with that, harnessed with that, burdened with that, when you are, not when you're past that vulnerable age, but that has to stay with you. It's such a vulnerable and burdensome, solemn thing.
Oh, it really is. Yeah, it really is. It's very powerful.
Well, thank you for exploring it so powerfully. I just want to remind everybody, if you are watching from a private Facebook group, you can give us permission to see your picture right here. I'll put the link in the comments. Or because this is a mystery and thriller show, you can stay in disguise. You don't have to. So your choice to stay on brand, or your choice to share your picture. I'm going to put the link in the comments in case you want to. Okay, so we have someone saying, hello, gorgeous ladies. Jilly, you always know how to yank your reader in. Oh, I like that. Yank your reader in and keep them guessing. I'm still thinking of that ending and the reveal of The Long Weekend weeks later. You know how to deliver an ending and tie it up so satisfyingly. So let's talk about that. And I have a feeling that this is Bookstagrammer Courtney. Courtney, is that you? Let us know. So Jilly, let's talk about this. So did the ending come clearly to you when you first started writing it, or was that one of the things that changed as you evolved in the multiple drafts?
Yeah, it was the ending. The ending came at the end. I'd kind of got so many threads going through the books, and there's a sort of big reveal along the way that I can't really talk about. But the ending came as I got there, and it just sort of almost like dominoes falling. All the characters kind of ended up where I felt they should be. So you kind of go on your gut instinct a bit when you get to that point. You try and tie it up satisfactorily. So I'm really pleased to hear that one of my readers is happy with how that turned out.
Would you say that gut instinct has evolved over the course of 7 books, or have you always had a gut instinct and the courage to trust it?
Yeah, I do tend to trust my gut because really I have nothing else. But I do go back to what I was saying earlier about trying to trust my reader's gut, not my writer's gut. So going back to think, what would I as a reader want to see happen? But also what could I do to sort of twist that a little bit or surprise people?
Oh, I love that. I love that. Michele is saying, thank you so much for answering her question. Of course, Michele, that's what we're here about, to give you a chance to talk to your favorite authors, to meet your next favorite authors. Thanks so much for joining us and for chiming in. Donna, welcome to the conversation. She says, you mentioned that this book was written during the pandemic. Did you have to change your process in any way? If so, how? Great question, Donna.
Thank you. Great question. Yes is the answer, because I was accustomed to having the house to myself. And then suddenly, as for many of us, my entire family moved in. So before the pandemic, I used to drop the kids at school. My husband would be at the office. I would start work early in the morning, sort of 8:30, work all morning. And then in the afternoon, that would be the writing in the morning. In the afternoon, I'd do the kind of admin sides of my job, all the social media and sort of things. But that just didn't work in the pandemic. I've ended up flipping my days. So now I kind of spend my mornings, even now when our kids here are back in school, and my other two are not in school anyway, but I find that I can't settle down first thing. So I really start to write the prose in the afternoon. So it's been a big change. And I sometimes wish it would go back, actually. It quite suited me to do it in the morning. But I think loads of us have had that kind of thing happen, because life got so turned upside down.
Yes, yes. So as someone who always who's worked from home for the past 10 years, I had the same thing. I was very used to having the apartment to myself. I'm a person who likes a lot of silence, a lot of solitude. I'm an introvert. It was just me and my little dog. And then all of a sudden, my husband, who I discovered had a very loud man voice, a booming man voice, on Zooms all day.
Booming, no.
It was a big adjustment.
It's hard, isn't it? It's really hard.
It really is. Yeah, I've gotten used to it now, but it was definitely a big adjustment. Courtney is saying, yes, it is her. She is staying. It's secretly her, but it is Bookstagram Extraordinaire Courtney. Someone else is saying, hello and happy Monday. Hello and happy Monday to you, to Mystery Monday. Jilly, let's talk some more about some of these incredible reviews. Samantha Downing raving, the long weekend is like a chess game with multiple layers and complex characters, all leading to a shocking, explosive ending, brilliantly plotted with a crisp pace and constant surprises. Once again, Gilly Macmillan has exceeded my expectations. That is from Samantha Downing. Congratulations on that fabulous rave review. So let's talk about the different levels, the different layers, multiple layers she is sharing. I'm just going to pop this up really quickly so it doesn't cover our faces. But when were you sitting there thinking, I want to write a book with multiple layers? How can I be quite clever and do that? Or were only upon reflection were you like, ooh, that is multi-layered? How did that go?
I think it's the latter. I think you start with very little. So I started with my three ladies, who are the kind of main focus of the story, my three heroines. And of course, they all have husbands, because the plot is, sorry, I'm just going to stop that ringing. And I think I started exploring their reactions to this terrible letter that they received. And that's how it began to layer up. And then I began about this other character, Imogen, this teenage character. And I think it's a process, layering it up. You don't do right away, for me anyway.
Interesting. Okay. I like that, to know how that works, because I think I always read these reviews and think, how does a writer do that? Do they sit down and think, let me create these multiple layers that people can then dive down? So I love having that insight into the process. So thank you for that. And I just want to let everyone know. So our mystery bookstagrammer is Courtney of Caffeine and Repeat, and you can peep Courtney's rave review right here. I'm going to link to it, of The Long Weekend. And she said, that ending, that mother fluffing ending.
Thank you, Courtney.
I love that. I'm just making sure I'm getting everybody's question, because I want to make sure. Ooh, Darla would like to know, is there going to be another Detective Jim Clemo book? Jilly, give us the skinny.
I mean, never say never, Darla. I love that character. And I was even thinking about him yesterday. I was writing a detective in my current book I'm working on. I thought, gosh, quite fun if it was him, but it isn't. But he's got such a place in my heart, because he was in my debut. And of course, I brought him back in Odd Child Out, my third book. So never say never, no promises. But I'd hate to think I'd retired him. He's too kind of juicy a character, I think.
I love that you were just thinking of Jim the other day,
Yes,
you
yeah.
just visiting with your dear friend Jim, who you created,
Yeah.
your
I
imaginary
did.
friend. I love it.
Promise I'm not mad. I promise, yeah.
I love it. Leslie, welcome to the conversation. She says, Jilly, you mentioned you are a huge reader. She'd like to know, what are some of your favorites? They can be from your youth as well, perhaps reader inspirations. Yeah, let's hear about that.
It's such a hard question for me, this, because I read so, as I'm sure many of you do, I read so much across the genres.
Ooh.
Because anything that makes me turn pages, I read it. It could be, romance or anything really. What inspired me to write thrillers was reading Gillian Flynn and No Time for Goodbye by Linwood Barclay. Those were two books that I read right before I started writing. Other inspiration, Gabriel Garcia Marquez. I love his work. Isabel Allende. I love all that magic realism. Childhood books. Gosh, Black Beauty, White Fang. I loved anything with an animal in it. Yeah, I did. I cried in White Fang. I remember that. It's the first book that made me cry, I think, those two.
Yeah, I cried for Black Beauty. That was, I mean, when Black Beauty is
Yeah.
forced to be a carriage horse, it's crushing. It's really, really sad. And it's
that's
again,
it. That's the first time you realize how powerful books can be. Well, that's the first time I realized.
yes, because you're sitting at home by yourself holding pages, at least back then, and yet feeling this incredible emotional connection to a world and characters that someone else has created out of nothing, and having actual human reactions. It's an amazing thing. That
It is, and especially when it crosses continents as well, because for me, a little English girl, reading about this, it was just extraordinary. I thought it was amazing.
Yes, exactly. And I think the other thing that's really fascinating about reading is I feel like readers can sense the energy of the author through the page. You can sense when someone is writing from their heart versus when someone kind of isn't. They're just phoning it in. And I don't know how or why that works, but I know I can feel it. And I know that other people share that they can as well.
That's so interesting, because I totally agree with that. People don't often talk about that, but I think it's absolutely right.
Mm. When you sit down to write, Jilly, do you have a cup of tea? Do you set an intention? Do you have a writing ritual, or do you just sit down and go?
I usually have a tea or a coffee. Yeah, and I'm a little bit scattered, so I have to really be careful about keeping my devices away,
Ooh,
and stopping scrolling. Yeah, my brain can leap very easily into being distracted. So I have to really sit there with my document and get into it. And once I'm in, and my concentration is terrific. But getting started can be a bit of a challenge some days. So yeah, I have to set up with my drink, with my dog, with my music, and I usually have music with no lyrics, just to kind of get me in the mood, and then off I go.
what kind of music with no lyrics gets you in the mood?
Loads of things actually. Quite a variety. Often classical music or choral music. I know that's got no choral music's got lyrics, but I don't really hear that. I don't, it just sounds like another line of melody to me. So it's anything that creates a kind of world around you, in which you can kind of fully focus on just the page.
So your fellow Londoner, Christina McDonald, when she was on, she shares that in the days of yore, when she had the house to herself, that she would put on pounding house dance music, club music, until the
Really?
walls rattled. She said, and she would just be rocking out, just pulsating beats until she said the windows rattled, and that's how she would write. And it was so unexpected, because here she is, this
Wow.
sort of just looks like a mom taking her kids to
Yeah.
school, but little do we know that inside she is a raging club kid just writing to the beat. So
That makes me feel very staid by comparison with my little bits of Mozart and Chopin.
me too. I feel like I need to be wearing sequins and boogieing to the beat as well to keep up with Christina
Next time we
McDonald.
speak, we'll have sequins on. How about that?
Oh my goodness. I want to remind everybody that the book is out tomorrow. Hooray, hooray. So we are getting the exclusive pre-launch scoop from Jilly today, here to answer all your questions about this book. It's not even out yet. So I am going to put the link in the comments, and you can grab your copy today from our favorite woman-owned independent bookstore, Murder by the Book. So here is the link. Grab your copy today, and the good folks at Murder by the Book will send it out to you tomorrow so that you too can immerse yourself in the world of of these fascinating characters and see what happens in the Dark Fell Barn, which is this exclusive retreat where our book takes place. Jilly, another one that I want to share, B.A. Paris. So Bernadette came on when her last book came out, and Anissa is saying, thank you, ladies. Anissa, so great to have you. Thank you so much for joining us. Anissa is an amazing Instagrammer as well. She does a lot with friends in fiction. So great to have you as always. Thank you. So B.A. Paris raised that this book is beautifully written and wonderfully atmospheric. It is an unputdownable roller coaster of a read. I love Bernadette, and I love that that review, that blurb. It is wonderfully atmospheric. You can feel the English countryside. You can feel the love of this couple that owns the Dark Fell Barn. I love the relationship between them. He is struggling with memory loss. She is, watching him decline and trying to adjust herself to his needs, and struggling with his own diagnosis. I loved that dynamic too, that really anchored us in them and in this space of this farm. What is your connection to farms? Were you out there walking the English countryside, Jilly?
Well, I went to Northumbria, where the book is set. It's really, really beautiful. But ironically, I ended up being rushed to hospital, and I spent my research trip in a hospital room. So all I saw was a few hours. I'm absolutely fine now. Oh, it was an infection. It was a bit of an emergency, but unfortunately, I did not get to immerse myself because then the pandemic shut the country down again. So I had this tiny window and a few photographs to base my descriptions on. And my family took more photos for me. So it was a little bit farcical, my research trip, to say the least. But I enjoyed so much thinking about countryside and thinking about what it means to people, especially today, with climate change, these kinds of issues threatening environments. And I really enjoyed writing that couple because it was a very sad situation they are in, but a very loving one as well. And I wanted to bring out both of those elements of their life together and their connection to this place, which is extremely wild and beautiful, especially for the UK, where we don't have that many wild places.
Yes, and I thought you captured the sadness of both his diagnosis, their aging, the sadness of impending loss, both on many fronts, but also the beauty of the place so well. So I thought that Bernadette, when she said it was so atmospheric, I love that she honed in on that part of it.
Thank you.
Which you did so beautifully. Wanda Morris, who was also on the show when all her little secrets came out, she also loved it. She raved that it was a chilling, creepy, corkscrew, twisty descent of a thrill ride. High praise there, Jilly, that left her flipping the pages into the night. And I loved how she said that your writing elevates the craft of creating a suspenseful character study. I will read whatever she writes. Wanda speaking for all of us. Jilly, do you feel that your ability to elevate the art, as Wanda said, of creating a suspenseful character study has gotten better over the 7 books? Do you feel that you've evolved as a writer, or this has just always come naturally to you?
I would hope it's evolved. I take the idea of improving my craft as a writer very seriously, and I would hope that in each book something about it evolves, even if I don't bring everything on in every book. So I think, it's really important to me that I write the book I can, given the constraints of timing and that kind of thing. So that's, that was actually the blurb of my dreams from Wonder. So, it was thrilling to read that. So yeah, I keep trying and I keep hoping, and you do your best with every book you write, I think, or you try to.
I love that. Polly's welcome to the conversation. She says, hello from Wellsville, New York, and happy early release day to you, Jilly.
Thank you.
Yay. We have time for one more question, everybody. So if anyone has one last question, get it going in the comments, and we can take one more question before we wrap for the day. I just want to remind everybody, it is a happy early release day. The book is out tomorrow, so grab your copy today. And as soon as it is out tomorrow, our friends at Murder by the Book will send it to you. So once again, here is the link. Grab it good. I just wanted to also include the fabulous New York Times book review saying that Macmillan writes with verve and emotional acuity. The final meal is rich and satisfying. So I absolutely loved that. The idea of a book as a meal, as something that satisfies, because we feel that way, right?
Yeah, I think it's important with thrillers too. You want to satisfy your reader. I know I want to be satisfied when I read a book.
Yes. Okay, we have our last question. Susan. Oh, cool question. Susan would like to know, Jilly, what writers would you like to meet?
That's a great question. I'm going to go back to Gabriel Garcia Marquez, who was like my idol, basically. I don't think I'd be able to say anything because I'd be paralyzed by meeting him. So yeah, that would be the writer I'd most like to meet. And you'd love to kind of see what people like Ernest Hemingway were like, the greats, that the Steinbeck. Jane Austen would be fun, wouldn't she?
Ooh, okay. So let's talk about, at your dream writer dinner, you'd have Ernest Hemingway, Jane Austen, Gabriel Garcia Marquez. Anybody else at that table?
Ooh. Golly, there probably would be. Kent Haruf is a great novelist. You can imagine. Yeah, I mean, I don't know about Hemingway. He might drink too much. I think that he might overwhelm the table.
Right now you're thinking ahead, Julie. You're like, wait, let's think about the metrics of this.
Yeah.
Let's make sure that we don't want a drunken rowdy guest, although I feel like Hemingway might be. If Hemingway can be a drunken rowdy guest too, we don't know. I mean, I guess we do know, actually. This book also got so many amazing other reviews. I'm putting them in the comments. Samantha Bailey, she's coming on the show in a couple of weeks. She raved about it. Also, Publishers Weekly raving about how well crafted this thriller is, how you effectively shift perspectives. Yes, because I loved how we heard from the mysterious sender of the package, in warning the women of the imminent death of one of their husbands, as well as from the women themselves, as well as from the owner of the farm, of the Darkfell barn. I mean, there was so many different voices, and you wrote them all so beautifully. Jilly, as we wrap here, any final thoughts you would like to share? Anything you want to send us off with?
I just would like to say thank you for being here, and I hope you guys really enjoy the book if you buy it, and all be well and be safe. And thanks so much for hosting me today.
Oh, what a pleasure to have you. Thank you, everyone who is watching on Facebook, on YouTube, wherever you're watching. Thank you for joining the conversation. Thank you for listening. Thank you for asking. Thank you for chatting. Thank you for spending your lunch break with us. It is so great to have you here. We have a mysterious guest saying, sorry I'm so late to the conversation, but this is a great book. Leslie saying, thank you so much. Everybody, it's so great to have you. grab your copy of the book. I put the link in the comments, and it will be sent out to you tomorrow. And then we continue the conversation over in the Mystery and Thriller Mavens Facebook group so that you too can freak out about all of these twists and turns and that explosive ending, mind-bending ending, courtesy of none other than the incredible internationally best-selling Gilly Macmillan. Gilly, thank you so much for being here. I hope you have a great day. Donna's saying thank you as well. And please come back and talk to us when your next book is out.
I would love to. Thank you so much.
Yay. Have a great day, everybody. And I'll see you tonight at 7 and 8 p.m. Eastern with Lisa Scatolini and Edwin Hill. Stay safe. I'll see you soon.